It's time for Common Man. Common Man. Charge the housewives like no one can. What'd you shoot?
Where'd we play?
Non-stop nonsense on deck today. Tune in. It's time for Common Man.
Oh, boy. Why should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon ones, well, the end result of such a lopsided race as that is too obvious to require elaboration.
I mean, it's like, whoa.
Time is running out on Dan Cole's round. Let's go to 15. Bob?
Yeah, John Cole has been visibly angry. He's been talking to himself quite a bit. But it doesn't get any easier here on the par 3 15th hole at Minnesota National. This hole is guarded by two bunkers with a big tree in front of the green. Very challenging tee shot. He's opted to hit a 5-iron here. Cole, unreal pants, fluttering in the wind, mumbling to himself, I've got to have this shot. Hooty-hoo! Ooh, that's very well struck. Spinning through the air like a J.J. McCarthy pass. It's right on line. Looking good. Oh, my! It's in! I can't believe what I just saw. A hole-in-one for Cole at the 15th, and he's pointing at patrons in the gallery shouting, you doubted me, you doubted me, you doubted me, and now he's embracing his son, Peter. What a moment between father and son here at the 15th at Minnesota National.
Now what is it? Embracing the back. You always love that one. Just that one.
Lowercase d's.
You're breaking up, Bob.
You're breaking up.
Cam Dantzler, what are you doing?
I mean, I try to fight fire with fire, you know.
We're the state of hockey, and I think that proves it, so.
Yes!
Hello, 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 hello. Okay, hold on.
He's the clown from Brown. He's the fourth in the north. This is the common man, Dan Cole.
Howdy doody, a little hack-ack-a-dack and dack-dack-a-act you and yours. It promises to be a fast-paced, action-packed, controversial common man program. I need more than 3 hours today. Soon to be big game world champion Minnesota Vikings continue to prepare for a crucial confrontation with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Wild and the Wolves are both out to outstanding starts in the 2024-2025 season as they continue to move forward to playoff spots. It's a little early, but I'm going with it anyways. The Minnesota Golden Gopher football team looking for their fifth win in a row when they take on the Rutgers Golden... The Rutger Walrus. That game is coming up. You'll hear it on Saturday. Scott Boras weighed in on it was in the Fish Wrap Factory West Side, about the Minnesota Twins and the possible sale. He has some interesting things to say, Teneby, that I think we need to weigh in on. With all of those topics, let's find out where to start. Let's spin the wheel of topics.
Commons golf game.
I wasn't even planning to play today, to be honest with you, because I thought there was going to be frost, so I slept in, woke up. It's a little after 7. There's no frost. Do you know how quickly I can get dressed, get my clubs, get in the car, and get to the golf course? I woke up at 7:10. I was on the tee box at 7:30.
You're driving like you didn't have a dime in it?
Old and bold. You are correct.
What did you shoot today?
80.
Where'd we play?
Prestwick at Wedgwood in Woodbury.
Where'd you hit it on? One?
Right up the gut.
How far from the green were you?
I had, distance-wise, I'm not sure. I know I played a 8-iron into the green.
Second shot?
Hit a really good shot, and then it was...
Then what?
Well, I had a... I just can't convince myself when it's cold that the ball's going to go 10, 12 yards short, so I sort of misclubbed. I had a long birdie putt of about 30 feet, lagged it up to a foot, tapped in, was on pace to shoot 72. I ended up shooting 43 on the front. You're not supposed to say this word out loud, so if you were a superstitious golfer, I'm going to give you a couple of seconds. This is sort of not really a spoiler alert, but I'm going to do it anyways. You ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I had the shanks again today.
Oh.
You ever have that? Does that ever happen to you?
Every round.
Does it really?
No.
You'll be... I'm standing over a shot. I hit a weak drive on 5 over to the right rough. So I got some trees blocked. So I'm not going to take any chances. I'm 2 over at this point. And again, that was the miss club on the par 3 third. It's 150, and I can't tell myself to hit a hybrid from there. I'm thinking, well, 5 in the middle of summer, it's a 7 iron. So I'm going to go, I'm going to hit a 5 iron. And it hit that false front. I mean, like a foot or two from getting onto the green. It rolled back instead, and I couldn't get up and down. But anyway, I'm going to lay up with a 7 iron. And I dead shank it into a tree that's barren. There are no leaves on it anymore. It clanks around in the branches, spits out fine. So I go, well, I dodged one there. I mean, I'm at that point, I'm only like 130 out. I can knock it on the green, either make a putt or not, make a bogey. I shanked the next shot. I was lucky to make 6. Then on my tee shot on 3, on the par 3 6th, I'm panicking now, and I hit this low because I'm worried about shanking. It's in my head. I have $1 million swing, but a 10-cent head. And so now I'm worried about, I got the shanks in my, so I hit this low line drive that skips off the water, and I can't tell if it's up on the embankment or not. It doesn't look like it. So I hit provisional onto the green. I go up there, and I almost had to take my shoe off, but when you're already 4 over and it's November 7th and it's really cold out, I'm not going to take my shoe off and so I kind of maneuver myself. The pin's over my left shoulder, right? And I'm swinging out right, and I tried to hit a little hook drive, hit a brilliant pitch from the edge. Just brilliant to about 8, but then I missed the putt. Make a brilliant birdie. I bogey 7, birdie 8 to get back to 5, and I'm thinking, come on now. Come on. Here we go. Par 5 coming up. 2 good shots, 130. I dump it in the water, make a double, get on the back, go bogey. And on number 11, let me ask you this, Tenneby. Front pin, and I hit my shot, and it's going between the bunker on the left and then the green on the right. And it's slightly cutting toward the green. The ball could do 3 things. Continue to cut, bounce off the rough, and hop onto the green close. Go straight ahead and then pop up onto the green a little further away, or kick left into the bunker. Which one do you think it did? It kicks left into the bunker. Made a bogey there, but then I went par, birdie, par. So I shot 37 on the back. So as we close out the season, I guess what I'm saying is I had the opposite of the Vikings. You know how they'll usually have a really good first half and a bad second half? Oh, it was the opposite, though. So I was like the Vikings against the Colts. Bad front 9. They had a bad first half. Mm-hmm. Then I had a much better second
Patrons
back
were booing
9.
you halfway through.
Speaking of that, Sauce got booed last night.
Really?
Yeah. It was we were at the mud room last night in Mendota. Tenneby, I know you're very familiar with Mendota. As a matter of fact, you could basically do ads for the Mendota Chamber of Commerce, much like, because you went to their website the other day, because you and I did not realize there was a Mendota Heights and a Mendota.
Sure.
Mendota is one of those where, as you drive through, don't blink. You could throw a stone from one end of town to the other end of town. It's that small. So we're at the mud room. And because it's a weeknight, Sauce goes, can you close tonight? I got to get home and get to bed, right? So James Wells, he's the MC. He runs the comedy club there. They do comedy on Wednesdays at All Flesh. I had met him once before and didn't remember. I hosted years ago at Rick Bronson's House of Comedy, the funniest person in the Twin Cities with a day job, okay? And it was like an 8-week thing where people, and then there's a panel of judges, they vote, and then these comics it's sort of like, I guess it would be America's Got Talent or The Voice or whatever, where they select people, right? He won the thing that year. James Wells. He's a very talented, very funny guy. He opens and does about 15. Sauce is supposed to do 35. He's in his last bit, and I look at my clock. He's at 15 minutes. He's supposed to do 30. He was doing his Lululemon bit, and some woman goes, Lululemon's really expensive. And then apparently a couple of people booed him up front.
Wow.
So Sauce...
You've got to be kidding me.
He's done at 20 minutes. And that's my turn. Now I got to do 45. I just have to. I ain't got 45 to be unless I talk really slow. Actually, I can do 45, and I did. Putty, palm of my hand. It's sometimes the crowd, they were good, but there's a couple of people that want to talk a little bit. They know you from the show, so they're chiming in. There's always a couple of people that are like, I asked on a couple of occasions, are you regretting your decision to come to the Mudroom tonight to watch comedy? That got the loudest applause of the evening. But we got through it. We made it. It was fun. The people enjoyed it. We sold some T-shirts. A lot of people came up to me afterwards and said they liked the Grum. They liked Tennessee. And so we had a good time to be had by one and all. So I pep talked Meatsauce. I said, you'll be all right. You'll get the zip back on your fastball. He said, I've lost the zip on my fastball. I go, it's one show. Calm down. You'll be fine. He's a brilliant comic. He's sort of a combination of Dave Chappelle, Howie Mandel, and Dave Attell. Is really good. And we're going to do it again tomorrow at River Oaks in Cottage Grove.
After hearing this segment, I'm sure the ticket sales are just going to just be booming now.
Well, sometimes tend to be, you know what they say about a car wreck?
Yeah.
You just can't take your eyes off it, right? So if you want to see a car wreck.
You still got to slow down and gawk at it.
Yeah, so you can be gawking at Meatsauce tomorrow. And then you know what? If I got to do it, tend to be, I'll close the show again. And I'll leave them wanting more, and I'll make it, you'll get your money's worth, trust me. Let's take a break, and when we return, we'll take a little peek at the purple. But right now, Tennessee has a keyword to try to put $1,000 in somebody's hand.
The Fan and two men in a junk truck want to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand with our national cash contest. Just enter the keyword WIN at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. That keyword is WIN. Enter it now at KFAN.com. Tune in to Wild Wednesday each week for your chance to win tickets to see your Minnesota Wild in an upcoming game. Wild Wednesdays are presented by Jim Beam, a crowd pleaser since 1795.
It's time for our new segment, relatively new. We've been doing it for about a week now. It's called Peak at the Purple, and it's brought to you from our friends at Affordable Electric. They'll give you an upfront affordable estimate before starting any new repair. Visit affordable-electric.com. Affordable Electric, shockingly affordable. Well, then we like to give them the little... Maybe they should sponsor the Negatrometer as well. Tennessee, you passed this along to me. It's... I don't think Ian Rappaport has like a, we had Woj Bomb. Does he have any cute little, a rap?
I don't know.
Rip, a rap rope, a rap, whatever.
Rap sheet.
Rap, maybe that's what it is. From the Ian Rappaport rap sheet, he writes, as hashtag Jaguars QB Trevor Lawrence, left shoulder, continues to get treatment and weigh options for the future, sources say he's considered unlikely to play Sunday versus the hashtag Vikings.
Oh my gosh, can you above average at that?
In Jacksonville, the soundbite would be Lawrence was limited in practice yesterday, and Coach Doug Peterson was non-committal about his status. So yesterday, I remember Tennessee, you said, eat some dirt, rub some Robitussin on it, he'll play. I agreed. I thought he would. And he still might. This could be the subterfuge stuff. Well, just don't know if he's going to play. Doesn't look good. And then all of a sudden we start pairing for Baker Minshew. No.
Gardner Minshew, but he doesn't play for Jacksonville.
Gardner Mayfield. No, who? Who's the backup there?
C.J. Beathard.
C.J. Beathard is the backup there. Any relation to Bobby Beathard? Bobby Beathard was a longtime general manager, I think, for like the Houston Oilers. I wonder if they're related in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, you'll never know. I guess it's not important to the story. I'm just trying to get to the end of the segment. Obviously that changes, I know it changed the betting line. I think all of a sudden the Vikings are now 7-point favorites, and I don't think they were 7 before then.
I haven't seen the updated line, so we'll have to change that before spread swing.
Yeah,
I had them at -4.5.
Yeah, I think it's 7 now. Well, again, this was from somebody that I trust, who I text and talk with more than most people know, and he sent me a text that basically said, T. Lawrence must be out as the Vikings line just jumped to -7. So
the site I use has not even had them.
Okay.
Hasn't even had a line for it. So.
Well, I wonder what we should do for spread swing. I guess we'll wait till 2:30 and find out.
Right? I mean, I can use a different website. But.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. So, again, if it has changed the odds, I would imagine that sounds about right to me. It's probably he's worth a field goal and a half point. I don't know. We talked about Trevor Lawrence yesterday, 4th or 5th year. I think you said, if I remember correctly, his rookie year was blah or meh. He was pretty good in his second year. Looked like he was starting to grow as a quarterback, and then it hasn't been very good since. Spotty, I guess, at best. My guess is he's had his moments and had his games. Obviously, a lot has to do with the guys around you, but certainly I think that would make Jacksonville a bit less dangerous. And this was a game,
I'm sorry, Mac Jones is the backup quarterback. I apologize. Jones? I screwed that up, yeah. I knew that.
You did know that.
Yeah. So pretty competent backup quarterback.
Old Mac Jones, he had an arm, E-I-E-I-O. So again, Lawrence out, Mac Jones in. Mac Jones was, I think, the 15th overall pick a few years ago by the New England Patriots in an effort to replace GOAT. Mac Jones didn't fare very well there. Now he is with Jacksonville.
You look back at that draft, by the way. Lawrence went 1.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Wilson went 2. The 49ers traded like 3 first-round picks to jump up to get Trey Lance at 3. And I think, Justin Fields go, 10, 11, and then Mac Jones at 15?
Where is Trey Lance? Is he still with Dallas?
I think so.
Will he be playing? Is Dak out?
I thought I heard Cooper Rush is in.
Okay. So. But Dak's out, right?
Yes.
And for the year, is that they think he's donezo for the year, or?
I didn't think it was for the year, but
I guess it doesn't really matter. Dallas is a terrible team in a terrible city with terrible fans.
Yeah, they're going to start stadium. Cooper Rush over Trey Lance.
They're not going anywhere. Mac Jones could be interesting, though. He lives in the middle of the field for those 7 to 15 yard passes, and that happens to be, in my humble opinion. If you're looking for a weakness with the Vikings defense, I would say it's those middle of the field passes, especially if they blitz and vacate that area. I think what the Vikings need to do to counter Mac Jones, if he's on his game, and they do try to deploy what I think is his strength, they need to get pressure up the middle, and not just from. This might be a little too complicated for the people that don't do the 22 wide and don't understand football like I do. I played the game. Both sides of the ball. I was a fierce pass rushing, rock of Gibraltar run stopping defensive lineman, and a precise route running, sure-handed pass catching tight end. The Vikings need to get pressure up the middle and not just from A-gap blitzes that vacate the middle of the field. They've got to keep, what do we call it, a spy?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where Mac Jones generally has his strength. However, on the other side of the coin is the Jaguars. If you look at the Pro Football Focus numbers, they play more man coverage than any team in the league. Jets has the highest yards per route against man this season.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. Jets might go off for 200 today.
Or Sunday.
Yeah, sorry about that. Because regardless of when they play, Monday night, Tuesday night, Thursday night, they're all big at this point of the season. So those are a couple of things I think we should watch for in the game. And I just thought I would help some of the
That was quite the in-depth look.
Well, thanks.
Game,
well, I do that. I don't generally like to do that. I'm more, I mean, it's sort of like with baseball. I approach it with the esoteric approach, but there's a place for sabermetrics and analytics, and so there's a place in football for not just the esoteric approach, but kind of breaking down, the A gap blitzes, the B gap blitzes, the C, D, E, F, G, X, Y, Z blitzes. So sometimes you need to do that. Our Peek at the Purple was brought to you by our friends at Affordable Electric. 30 years they've provided dependable, honest, 24-hour, same-day service. Shockingly affordable. That's Affordable Electric. Other side of the break, Tennessee. Doug Peterson had some interesting things to say about Sammy Darnold in his news conference yesterday. I think it was yesterday. And a lot of truth to it, too. We'll get to those comments. Other side of the break. Mark Rosen joins us at 2. And we'll be right back after this, right here on the Fan.
Join Corey Cove for Coors Light Hockey Night on Thursday, November 14th at Sunset Grill in Spring Lake Park. Watch Minnesota take on Montreal and play trivia for your chance to win a pair of sweet tickets to the game on January 9th against Colorado. Get all the details now at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
The show's never won, or the segment has never won any awards. It's not highly regarded, but we like doing it, and the audience seems to be mildly amused by it. Spread Swing, that comes up at 2:30. The legendary Mark Rosen joins Tennessee and me, along with my firstborn Deuce, who I created from my loins. I get to the point I've been doing Spread Swing long enough with the three of you that I already know what games Tennessee's going to take. I can just sense
really?
It. Yeah. I know for sure.
I think it might surprise you on one, but I think one might be predictable.
Yeah, one is going to be very predictable.
I was going to go Minnesota at -4.5, but now that they're -7.
I know the one that you're going to go with, and I'm not going to snipe you on it, but it's going to be on Zona Cardinals, for we know we've got the team.
They've done well for me.
We're going to fight for the red. Well, they wear black sometimes. For the red and white Cardinals, fight on. Now, I wasn't trying to alarm people and acting like Mac Jones is kind of a, combination autogram Danny Marino and Joe Flacco by any stretch of the imagination. But, he does kind of thrive with that 7-15. And again, with the Vikings, if Blake Turf Toe Cashman comes back, that's where he patrols. He patrols the middle of the field, Tennessee, like a general would a battlefield, right? Now, I'm not sure if Cashman's coming back or not. He did return to practice yesterday for the first time since suffering that turf toe injury against the New York Football Jets about a month ago. He'd been the Vikings' leading tackler up until that point through 5 games. O'Connell said he hopes Cashman, I'm reading from Fish Wrap Factory West Side, O'Connell said he hopes Cashman can ramp up his participation in preparation for returning to play Sunday at Jacksonville against the Jaguars. O'Connell said yesterday, Blake's really confident and just absolutely dying to get back out there with the guys. Hopefully it's this week, and we'll see how he handles the workload. So, again, he's hopeful, but there are no guarantees he will play. And again, Cashman has been a real bright spot. Did he play with the Texans last year where he had a breakthrough season? Because I think, if I remember, we had him on as a guest when we were out at training camp, and he had been kind of injury riddled. He played. His
interview got interrupted by Justin Jefferson, if you remember.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Cashman, do I remember this correctly, Tennessee? He played with Eden Prairie and the Gophers, right?
Yeah.
So he was a high school standout here, played with the Gophers. And I think his first few years, it seemed like he was hurt all the time and injured. And then he had a full season with the Texans, had a terrific season last year, and the Vikings acquired him as a free agent, and he picked up where he left off. Sometimes you wonder, they call them one-hit wonders in music. Sometimes there are guys that are one-year wonders. They have one really good year, and after that we didn't know for sure what we were getting with Cashman, but he's been terrific through 5 games. So if he's back out in the field and is close to 100%, that should help. The Vikings practiced without 3 starters yesterday. Linebacker Ivan Pace Jr., knee injury. Garrett Bradbury, the center, and edge rusher Andy Van Ginkel, they were listed as not practicing because they needed rest. Did they take a nap? I mean, what? I don't understand. It says, the team listed rest as the reason for Van Ginkel's absence. Defensive coordinator Brian Flores said earlier in the week that Van Ginkel has a minor thing that he's dealing with, alluding to an undisclosed injury. So, resting up on an injury.
What was that?
Someone wondering if I'm playing golf this weekend. I don't know. I don't get out very often. I think I will. Supposed to be overcast both Saturday and Sunday, which means no frost, because I still like getting out early. I'd rather play first out 39 degrees than play at 12 noon with groups all over the course and it's 51. I really would. I'm a tough guy. I was born in Detroit. Games played outdoors. Hawkinson's no longer on the injury report, Tenby. That's good news.
Yep.
We lost him last year at about the midway point or something like that. I don't recall. He's been out after the surgery.
We'll see if his playing time increases this week.
He had, I think it was something like 33 snaps, something like that. I don't know if that's the exact number or not. He caught something like 3 passes for 27 yards, something like that. You know me, I don't pay as close attention to stats as I once did. So the other interesting issue, Tenby, is the place kicker. Will Reichard, we had drafted him in the 6th round, and he was looking like a first ballot Hall of Famer through his first, how many games have we played now? 8?
8.
Through his first 7 games, he looked like first ballot Hall of Famer. Hadn't missed a kick. Every field goal, didn't matter the distance, didn't matter down, distance, indoors, outdoors. Special teams on the opposing team couldn't stop him. Your mama couldn't stop him. Your daddy couldn't stop him. The police couldn't stop him. I don't even know if Manu Bol, is Manu Bol still alive?
I don't know if he is.
If Victor Wembanyama was on the special teams and stood in the middle of the line and held up his arms, Victor Wembanyama couldn't have stopped Will Reichard.
He died in 2010.
Wembanyama couldn't have stopped Will Reichard. And then he had the quad injury, and I think you were the one that told me this, or maybe somebody else did, and I told you. He'd had this injury in college back in 20, when was it, 19 or 20, whatever it was. And it's like, and again, that doesn't, it is what it is. You can recover from injuries, but it does. Again, I'm not a doctor. Don't play one on TV or even on stage or screen. But is quad one of those that, if it happens once, there's always that because that's what it looks like. And it's always the opportunity, like a hammy. If it's happened before, it can happen again. And it's really hard to kick a football if your hammy's bad, it looks like to me, right?
Your quad,
Your quad, I mean, you're
thinking more so with the quad.
Yeah, and so our kicker is John Parker Romo. And again, Fish Wrap Factory did a nice little piece on him. He's 27 years old. He's on his 4th NFL team. It's Worlds. He said he's decided to go back to his Jack Nicklaus 1985 swing. That's what he wants to do if we're going to play this weekend. He's going to go back to his 1985 Jack Nicklaus swing. He has all sorts of different swings. His 85 swing. He's got his 78, 79 Tom Watson version. Yeah, I got the message. He's yet to kick in a regular season game, Tenby. He's been with 4 different teams. He was with the Vikings at one time. He got cut in July at the start of training camp because Will Reichard was our guy. Here's what Romo, he was, the Vikings brought in 5 kickers. What was it, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. They tried out 5, and Romo was your winner. They had a quote in here from him. He said, I kind of saw him limping a little bit, meaning Will Reichard.
Yeah.
So I couldn't sleep Sunday night praying that call is going to come. In other words, hoping it was a serious injury, so he's he has a kicking spot. No, I'm just kidding. But sure enough, it came, and I was watching with my daughter. It was really cool. So he comes in here. And this is the part of the game, Tenneby, and I think you and I have discussed this before. I've always found the kicking game, and just to me, I know it's called football, so I guess that's why they kick. It's half the name of the sport. But it's, to me, so diametrically opposed to everything else about football. Everything else is it's in the trenches. You know, you're blocking, you're tackling, you're passing, you're throwing, you're catching. You know, it's a real physical game. And you can play for like 3 hours and 10 minutes. It's basically a rebuild of his old swing, is what he's saying. You can play a physical game back and forth. Yards are hard to come by. Even more difficult it is to score. And it's late in the game, and the weather's picked up, and it's raining or snowing, sleet, glue, mud. Snow, sleet, rain, snow, sleet, and gloom a night. And then all of a sudden, you put a drive together, and you get your team down to the opposition's 31-yard line. And then out trots the guy with the completely clean uniform, right? He only has one bar on his face mask. He's never attempted a tackle since his Pop Warner days, right? My favorite is when, on the rare occasion there was a kickoff return, there really aren't anymore, and the kicker's always, or the punter, they're going to try to make a tackle, and they kind of pretend. Yeah. It's like taking a dive in boxing, or it's the equivalent to flopping in soccer. They like pretend they get deked out, and they kind of they dive and throw out one arm like that. It's like, you kidding me? I ain't getting in that guy's way. And I guess, to be honest, maybe the special teams coach tells him, I said, don't make any tackles. We don't need you to get injured. We need the kicker. Like what happened with Reichert. You know, that injury wasn't because of trying to tackle, but you lose your kicker, and you're scouring the waiver wire. You're getting a guy that, at least going into this season and a lot of other seasons, he's been in the league. He's been with 4 different teams for what, 4? Is that what it says? He's on his 4th NFL team. He's never kicked in a regular season. So he's competent to kick balls, trying out, but nobody trusts him in the regular season. It comes down, and I'm not picking on Roll, I'm just talking in general. Any kicker, your game comes down to, can the guy, how far are the uprights? I don't even know exactly. The game, all of that hard work, all the strategy, all the X's and O's, the A gap blitzes, the B gap blitzes, the crossing routes, all that comes down to some guy. Can he kick that football through the uprights?
I can even go back to the Blair Walsh miss in the playoffs against Seattle, right? What was the temperature that day? Like -5? It was as frigid a condition. So
correct.
Those players on that team had to deal with those conditions, trying to stop, in a low-scoring game. So they had to stop Russell Wilson in that offense
and
time
Marshawn
after
Lynch.
time after time. Yeah,
we called him beast mode back in the day.
You got to try to tackle beast mode multiple times a game, just in pain. Teddy Bridgewater pulls off this drive at the end of the game to get you from 27 yards.
And he missed the kick.
And brutally bad, too.
And you missed the kick.
Close.
And so it's a pressure-packed position. We talk about the most important position in sports, and not just in football, but in sports, is the quarterback position. You're looking at all the sports, and, notorious D.I.G., if he did nothing else, during his tenure here as an intern, he taught you and I that Tenneby, and that was almost like one of those, master grasshopper things, because I'd never really realized it. And, but the kicker position, while it's not as important, it's really important, because how many games on average do you think come down for an NFL team, especially a team that's got playoff aspirations? A good team. If you're a bad team, who cares if your guy misses another field goal? It don't matter, right? You just go to 2-9. But I'm talking about if you have a really good team, like it could happen to Detroit at any time. It could happen to Kansas City at any time. It could happen to any of these guys, where they come up there and one bad kick and the season's over. Mm-hmm. So these are the guys that, how would I phrase it? they create frayed nerves, right? And I just love it on TV, too, where the team's driving, right? And then, producer in the truck goes, okay, show the kicker on the sideline. Go to camera 6. Then you go to camera 6, and there's the guy, and he's got that little trapezoid thing.
Yep.
With the little net. He's all by himself. Nobody wants to talk to him.
Yep.
Got to stay away from him. And he's over there with that little trapezoid thing, and he's doing that little kick like that. And it's like, it's sort of like practicing your chipping is really all it is, because you're hitting it into a net. You don't really see if the ball is going straight, going left,
You're just
going
warming
right.
up the leg, yeah.
Right, you're just warming up the leg, and he trots out there, and I've seen it, man. I remember.
By the way, as a kicker on the sideline, never shanked it so bad that he missed the net.
Oh, I certainly hope not.
It's pretty hard to do, but
because then you got to go with your punter. You just got to say you're out, put him in. I don't remember all the exact circumstances, but I do remember one that sticks out in my mind from many, many years ago, 10, 12, 15 years ago, where field goal attempt that would have put, I think it was Washington, into the playoffs. And the snap was awful. And it kind of bounced on the ground. They got it. And I think they got the kickoff, and it went nowhere, right? Because the ball was very... So one bad snap, and the whole season's over.
And we got a new long snapper.
Yeah. And same thing, one kick. Didn't they do a double doink with their guy one time? Was his name DeSoto? The guy that discovered Florida. Fountain of Youth guy. Who was that quarterback for? Do you remember that Bears one where they were, I think that was to get them in the playoffs, I think, and he double doinked it. It hit the one crossbar, kicked all the way over to the other crossbar, then hit the upright, the crossbar, to whatever the case may be. Your season's just over. And so...
It was Cody Parkey?
I think it was Cody Parkey.
The 2018 NFC wildcard game?
I think it was Cody Parkey.
Against the Eagles?
I think it was Cody Parkey. You have a steel trap. I mean, you remind me of Rosen. With you remember Deet?
It was something like a 16-15 score for Philadelphia at the time.
Yeah, right.
And Parkey was, it was like a 43-yard field goal and hit the left upright and then hit the bottom crossbar and just went something like that.
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah. And then it's over. And I wonder if players, I mean, it's all for one and one for all. And, it's like when, who called the timeout for Michigan? Was it Jalen Rose?
Chris Webber.
Jalen Rose called that timeout, against... it
was actually Derrick Rose.
Derrick Rose, but he played in the league a long time. Derrick Rose, think about that was in 1989. Think about how long Derrick Rose, or 1993. Think about how long Derrick Rose played in the NBA. But, the awful feeling when it comes down to you and you make a mistake like that, like Weber did with the timeout, or the kick. And again, it comes with the territory. I would hope... You got to think in a team of 53 guys, when a guy misses a field goal, especially if it's like kind of a chip shot one, and it's devastating, like it ends the season or something, there's half the guys that would like to tape him up and stuff him in his locker and just say, find your own way out. You're just mad, but you can't. You just got to go, well, that's it. You can't make them all. But
and especially given the point you made earlier in the segment of how taxing the sport is on these players' bodies. Right. They're out there playing with injuries. They're getting shot up to numb the pain. They're just getting battered and bruised. And the guy who doesn't have to go through any physical trauma of any kind misses a chip shot for you to lose the game.
Yeah, and that's it, and it's over. So we certainly hope that doesn't happen to... What's Romo's name? Isn't he a three?
John Parker Romo.
John Parker Rosen. Or Romo. He's got 3 names. John Parker Romo. Certainly, because I don't like to look at any games as, what's a gimme? We're going to win 3 in a row here. No worries there, because we have the Jaguars this week. Is it the Titans Tennessee the week after? And then is it the Bears?
At Chicago, yeah.
And the Bears are kind of, ever since the Hail Mary, it's kind of gone south for them, because didn't they just get crushed by the Cards?
Yes.
So it's kind of, they were... Think about it. One knocked away Hail Mary from being 5-2 and right in the mix. And now they're 4-4 after and it's still the best was, who was the defensive back that was taunting the crowd?
The Tyreek Stevenson.
So good.
Did you hear they opted to bench him, and he got bitter about it in practice and like walked away from practice for a little bit last week.
Poor guy. He would have been a perfect candidate for that Southwest commercial, Want to Get Away, because he must have felt like he needed to get away at that point. But you kicking against in the next two games, I certainly hope the next two games, and it's the NFL and everything's it's a one score spread, and on any given Sunday and all the parity. I would hope neither game, the next two, comes down to a field goal to win it for us. I mean, I'm kind of hoping for one of those where, all right, this one's in hand after 3 quarters. I can go out and finish my fall cleanup. Because my sanitation company, Monday's the last day they take, fall cleanup stuff, when you're hostas. Do you have hostas in your yard? I got hostas all over.
I don't even know what a hosta is.
Hosta liba. I got all sorts of hostas. So they die. I think they're called perennials or the annuals. Whatever they are, they come and go every year. You just pull off. No, that wasn't meant to be funny because that's plants are either annuals or perennials. You don't have a green thumb. You're not a gardener.
I do not have a green thumb.
I don't expect you to know. I'm not only a radio gardener, but I'm also a lawn and garden kind of a guy, right? And so I need to get out in the yard. I mean, what's my choice? Here's the thing. Do I do my fall cleanup Saturday morning or play golf? Which one would you choose?
Play golf.
See, that's me too. It's just a no-brainer for me. Then Sunday, what would you do? Would you
play golf?
Yeah. And so then if the Vikings go until 3:30, I got about an hour and a half to do fall cleanup, and I got about 4 hours out there. So I just don't know.
You could do your fall cleanup while listening to the game on the Vikings radio network.
You're breaking up. I could, I guess, listen to the Purple Dinosaur, Barney, and Vikings interior decorator Pete Versich do the call. I guess I could do that, couldn't I? Ben Lieber, sideline reporter. A lot of people like that crew. They're really good. And then, of course, the best part of the broadcast is how seamlessly it sounds on the radio when they switch from commercial breaks to the studio to the sideline. And I think we owe it all to the master control supervisor. They call him Tenebee. He's really good at his job.
What time do the Lions play? Are they at noon too?
I think they're a nooner.
But what if they're in the midst of a spine tingler with Houston, but the Vikings have put away Jacksonville?
Yeah, then I got to watch the spine tingler.
Yeah.
Tenebee, we don't have spine tinglers anymore.
Well,
we don't. You know what, Tenebee?
There's that.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. If you're looking for the Lions, you won't have to look too far for them. Just open your door. They'll be on your front porch. Did you see that he got 92% of the presidential vote in Detroit? 92%. Yep. We'll break. We'll come back. 534. Tease, please.
Yeah, Ben had his team going last night at the barn.